Yeah, today let's talk about overthinking a little bit. Now, everyone knows what underthinking is. Uh, and that's the sort of problem that people who are lacking analytical skills uh, sort of have to deal with. That is to say, they rush into things without thinking it through very much. So that's underthinking. Everyone knows what it is. Everyone knows people that do that, and that's a big problem for those people. Now, overthinking is a problem that mostly more clever people face. What is overthinking? Well, overthinking is when you sort of invest a large amount of brain power and invest a large amount of time and sort of your mental resources into a problem that's basically trivial, and that can sort of inhibit you a lot. And so if you, for example, let's say you have something like social anxiety or something like that, and you keep thinking that how will the other people respond to what I say, for example, or what will they think of me when I say this, whatever it is that you want to say. And then what usually happens is that you end up not really saying anything, or if you do say something, then you look nervous, and it comes off odd, and it doesn't come off naturally as it would have if you had not sort of wasted so much time thinking about it. And I think this can sort of create a really unnecessarily cynical outlook on life if you sort of think about things so much that you basically create negative outcomes for yourself just because you wasted so much time thinking about something that you should have just rushed into. So you should have the person who's like culpable of underthinking would rush into all sorts of situations where they should have thought about it, whereas the person who is doing overthinking is doing the opposite. He should have rushed into some situation because it was a trivial situation or some sort of social situation where that sort of quick thinking is required, and instead he sort of wasted time and not just his own time but also other people's time by wondering about it and feeling fear and panic and that sort of thing, and in that sense you should sort of learn this sort of spontaneity. So you should be more spontaneous in your actions. If you're a smart person, you don't have to fear spontaneous action. You should think about things that matter, not about like trivial things about should I greet this person with hello, or should I say hi friend, or just don't worry about it so much because no one else does. No one, and I don't mean that no one else thinks about these things, overthinks them like you do. What I mean is that no one's really going to judge you that harshly in this sort of social situation, or honestly most other type of situations. They will only judge you harshly if they already kind of hate you for whatever reason, and in that case, why are you hanging out with them? So and if it's you're holding a presentation or something and get some stage fright or something, that's overthinking also, because you're sort of assuming what the audience thinks, and you shouldn't do that because you don't actually know what the audience thinks, even if their reactions aren't what you want them to be or what you expected, that doesn't necessarily mean that they think poorly of your presentation. It's just, people can act in, odd ways, and it's not necessarily even. You don't necessarily even know why unless you talk to each and every person there, which you probably won't. So basically, in this sort of in many of these type of normal day-to-day situations, you should sort of adapt the attitude of just be happy, don't worry about it. That's that type of mentality, and that will actually create better outcomes for you than overthinking about these sort of situations. So now let's talk about one other thing that's kind of related, which is that some people would suggest to you that you should drink a little, alcohol to to combat this sort of thing, because it will make you loosen up, and I really can't. I wouldn't recommend that, because it's this sort of liquid courage is it's a rather poor solution to the problem, because it's unhealthy, it's temporary, it's expensive, and you could even say that it's addictive, so I wouldn't recommend that. It's much better to learn to change your mindset instead, because it is a much better and it is a more permanent solution to the problem. So change the way that you think about things. If it's first of all, serious situations demand serious analysis and serious thinking, and trivial situations demand this sort of spontaneous action and sort of like I said earlier, you need to loosen up, man. that sort of mentality, and I fear that a lot of people who are very smart don't necessarily recognize the difference between these two situations. They sort of put way more thought than necessary into totally trivial situations, and this sort of exhausts them. It even makes them a little bit more passive, because then they're just, you're trying to have a conversation, and they're just sort of, thinking about things, 100 miles a minute, when they don't really need to. It's just if you're having a little fun conversation, or even if you're talking to the opposite sex or whatever, you just you shouldn't really worry that much. If people are offended or something, they will probably tell you, and then you can then you can think about it more. But if it's just only a normal conversation, you shouldn't make it awkward by overthinking every little detail of the conversation. It's kind of rude actually towards the people you're talking to also, and so I would definitely suggest sort of a change of mindset and the sort of fixing your priorities if you have this sort of overthinking, or if you have this problem of overthinking things. Because, for example, that when you're doing some complex work or some sort of school projects or something, that's when you need to utilize your analytical skills, or when you're solving puzzles, and or maybe you're playing some brain teaser game or something like that. That's when you need to think about things. Or maybe if you're looking math problems or something, that's when you need to utilize your analytical mind to the fullest. But in everyday situations, it's not a good thing to do. It's not really. Not only is it not required, but it doesn't provide any value. It just honestly takes it away. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I've been a bit guilty of this myself, and I have somehow I've managed to kind of get rid of it in a way, not entirely, of course, but but I have changed my mindset. So I don't take like social situations most of the time all that seriously, unless it's on purpose a serious conversation or something like that. But I try to even though I want to think a lot about things, I sort of try to, mostly when I'm with other people, I try to feel the sort of mood of the group and adapt to that and sort of relax a little bit and not think about every little detail. And I think that makes me a more pleasant person to be around, and I have much more fun when I'm around other people also. So yeah, that's